Xiao unexpectedly reunited with his old acquaintances Liu Xuan and Dan Linge. However, when the former brought up the matter of forming an alliance again, she only offered him the position of deputy alliance leader. Picking up from where we left off, as Xiao Yan observed the other participants arriving one after another, his brows suddenly twitched. He immediately shifted his gaze into the distance. There, 8 figures were approaching swiftly through the air. They were none other than Yao Xuan and the others. "Senior Xiao Yan, we've finally found you." The 8 of them descended beside Xiao Yan. After 2 years of separation, Xiao Yan keenly sensed subtle changes in them. Clearly, these changes were related to their experiences in the heavenly spirit plane. This was also the true reason why Xiao Yan had invited them to participate in the 10,000 pill assembly. "It seems you've gained quite a lot," Xiao Yan said with a faint smile. Hearing this, they all smiled in response. Next, they each revealed the finest pills they had refined over the past 2 years. Aside from Bei Ming and Yan Pin, whose pills were at the Showdown level, the other 6 had all managed to produce Emperor-tier pills, equivalent to Xuandan within the Great Thousand World. "Senior Xiao Yan, what kind of high-grade pill did you refine? We're really looking forward to it," Yao Anran asked curiously. However, Xiao Yan did not reveal it directly. He merely replied, "What I made is a dan, not a medicine. You'll know soon enough." Everyone nodded in understanding. They knew Xiao Yan was not here to show off, but to compete for the pinnacle seat of the 10,000 pill assembly. Before the true confrontation began, he would not easily reveal the results of his 2 years of effort. Yao Anran continued, "Senior Xiao Yan, could you tell us who are the most competitive alchemists here?" Xiao An nodded, having arrived at the summit of 10,000 pills 3 days in advance, and with his sole perception at the heavenly realm, he already had a preliminary understanding of the key competitors. He said, "Every 10,000 pill assembly attracts tens of thousands of high-level alchemists, but most can only refine pills at the Xuandan level. To stand out, one must at least be capable of refining Shendan. Among these tens of thousands, there are no fewer than 1,000 who meet that standard. But to reach the top tier, one must be able to refine Tiandan, and there are fewer than 100 such individuals. They are the true focus of this assembly. However, among those 100, only 6 are truly outstanding." "Which 6?" Yao Xuan and the others asked immediately. Xiao Yan pointed toward a direction on the plaza. There they saw an elderly man in blue robes with flowing white hair. He is the Grand Elder of the 10,000 Pill Continent, Heavenly Pill Saint. He has participated in many assemblies before. It is said that in the last one, he refined a great Tiandan. Although he did not win, 30 years have passed. He may have improved further." Xiao Yan explained. "The Great Tiandan is a rank within Tiandan. They are divided into minor Tiandan, Great Tiandan, and Perfect Tiandan. A perfect Tiandan is enough to attract the interest of a great perfection Earth sovereign." Then Xiao Yan pointed to another figure, a woman in red robes not far away. Beside her floats a dark crimson pill, rotating slowly like a spirit. She is from the Flame Spirit clan. I am not entirely sure of her identity, but that pill has at least reached the Great Tiandan level. And it is quite special. From what I sensed, that pill contains a mutated Dan spirit. A mutated Dan spirit. Dan spirits can mutate. Yao Xuan and the others were shocked. Yes, that pill seems capable of continuous evolution. Even before entering the heavenly spirit plane, she already possessed it. As for what exactly that Dan spirit is, I don't know. What a continuously evolving Dan spirit. They were all stunned. As alchemists, they understood better than anyone what a Dan spirit represented. That pill's status in the world of alchemy was comparable to Emperor Flame in the world of flames. "What about the other 4 top competitors?" Yao Xuan asked. Xiao Yan then described the remaining 4 individuals. All of them were elites among alchemists. "Hey, you're here too." At that moment, a surprised voice rang out. Xiao Yan turned and saw 2 familiar figures walking toward him through the crowd. They were Liu Xuan and Dan Linge. Although Xiao Yan knew they would attend, they had no idea he would come, hence their surprise. As they approached Yao Xuan and the others looked at them curiously. From Xiao Yan's earlier explanation, Liu Xuan was one of the 6 top competitors. They had not expected the two sides to know each other. "Looks like fate has brought us together again," Liu Xuan said with a smile. "What do you think about the proposal I mentioned last time?" Xiao Yan smiled slightly. They were clearly referring to forming a lower plane alliance. "We can discuss the alliance later. After the 10,000 pill assembly, I still have matters to deal with." "No problem," Liu Xuan replied. "I've already reserved the position of Deputy Alliance Leader for you." She smiled. "But before that, as Alliance Leader, let me show you the results of my past 2 years. I look forward to it." The two of them stayed waiting alongside Xiao Yan for the final showdown. At this moment, tens of thousands had already gathered. Until finally, a figure tore through the fabric of space, descending from the heavenly spirit plane like a streak of light. The once silent plane began to stir. Energy rippled through the air, winds shifted. Even the laws of the space itself seemed to respond to the arrival. All eyes converged toward the center. There, standing amidst the gathering storm of attention, 2 familiar figures emerged. Dan Yu and Gao Yuan, the very architects of the 10,000 pill assembly. A subtle pressure spread from their presence alone, commanding respect, without the need for force. Gao Yuan stepped forward, his expression calm yet dignified. He cupped his fists slightly, a courteous gesture, but one that carried undeniable authority. "First, let me congratulate all of you," he said, his voice clear and resonant, echoing across the entire plane. "For after 2 years of effort, you have finally refined your ideal pills." His words stirred something deep within the hearts of the alchemists. 2 years. 2 years of relentless searching across the vast heavenly spirit plane, scouring forbidden lands, braving unknown dangers, competing for rare ingredients. 2 years of countless failures, near breakthroughs, and desperate perseverance at the edge of exhaustion. For them, this was not merely a competition. It was a crucible, a true trial that tested not only their skill, but their will. Then Dan Yu stepped forward. Unlike Gao Yuan's composed demeanor, his presence carried a sharper edge, like a blade drawn halfway from its sheath. He raised his hand slightly. The entire plane fell into absolute silence. "I now announce," his voice rang out like a bell of judgment, "the final showdown of the 10,000 pill assembly." A pause. A heartbeat stretched into eternity. "Begins now." The moment his words fell, the atmosphere exploded. Gao Yuan rose into the sky, robes fluttering as spiritual energy surged around him. With a single effortless motion, he flipped his hand. A sphere of light about the size of a human head materialized instantly above his palm. It radiated a soft yet profound glow, pulsing like a living heart. Within that sphere, a mysterious object could be vaguely seen, its form indistinct, yet its presence unmistakable. A treasure. No, something far beyond ordinary comprehension. The light it emitted caused even the surrounding space to distort slightly, as if reality itself struggled to contain it. Every gaze locked onto it. Breaths slowed. Hearts pounded. Because everyone knew that object would determine the final victor. Each breath it took seemed to influence the flow of heaven and earth. That was the plain embryo. "Everyone, show the greatest results of your past 2 years." Hearing this, tens of thousands of participants raised their hands in unison. On each palm was a pill radiating dense spiritual energy. Do you know how brutal the elimination rules of the myriad pill assembly are? After just a few short rounds, only 9 people remained, including Xiao Yan. Picking up from before, "Reveal your pills." As everyone around took out their medicinal pills, Xiao Yan also spoke to Yao Xuan and the others beside him, as well as Liu Xuan and Dan Linga. Then he extended his palm. Resting in it was a black sphere. "Is that a pill?" Seeing the black bead in Xiao Yan's hand, everyone was stunned. They had never seen such a thing before. First, the black sphere emitted no pill fragrance. Second, it didn't even possess the usual fluctuations of spiritual power. This made them question whether it could truly be considered a pill. At that moment, Gao Yuan, standing in mid-air, spoke. "Huh, Everyone. The reason why the final showdown of the myriad pill assembly is not held in the outside world is not because we don't want others to witness it. It is because in such an environment, the quality of a pill is judged by the disturbances it causes in heaven and earth. However, that method is far too crude, since relying on natural fluctuations cannot accurately determine a pill's grade. We will use a more precise method. In his hand, the plane core began to emit a radiant glow. The light expanded into a massive 1,000-jang light barrier, enveloping all participants and forming a hemispherical dome. His voice echoed again. We will use the plane core to evaluate. The evaluation has 5 grades. Yellow light below the Xuan pill level, red light true Xuan pill, blue light divine pill, violet gold light heavenly pill, dark gold light super heavenly pill. These colors were not merely distinctions, they were verdicts of fate, lines drawn between the ordinary and the extraordinary. A heavy silence blanketed the arena. Then Gao Yuan's voice rang out calm, authoritative, and impossible to ignore, like a decree passed down from the heavens. As per tradition, the final showdown will only take place among pills of the dark gold grade. A ripple passed through the crowd. Some faces stiffened, others paled. The weight of those words settled deep into everyone's chest. All others will be eliminated. No hesitation, no compromise. After a brief pause, he added, as compensation, eliminated participants may take their pills with them. A small mercy, but one that did little to ease the tension now coiling in the air. The rules are clear. Gao Yuan slowly raised his hand. Now let us begin. The moment his voice fell, the plane core trembled. A vast mist of radiant light poured forth, spreading outward like a living tide. In mere breaths, the entire barrier was engulfed in a glowing fog, dense and shimmering, isolating every participant within its luminous embrace. Then, reactions began to appear. The first round of elimination had begun. If your pill's light cannot turn red, you will be eliminated. Tens of thousands of yellow lights flickered across the field like dying stars. Then one by one, they began to change, or fail to. Every participant held their breath, eyes locked onto their pills. Some gazes burned with hope, others trembled with fear, because in this moment, a single shift in color would decide everything, hoping that their light would turn red. But reality was cruel. Large patches of yellow light vanished. Nearly 1/3 of the participants failed to reach the Xuan pill level. Inside the barrier, Xiaoyan, Yaoxuan, Liuxuan, and Dan Lingge, their pills still glowed, but only at the yellow stage. Nearly 10,000 people were eliminated in the first round. Those eliminated were moved outside to spectate. The second round began, even more brutal. From over 30,000 participants, more than 10,000 were eliminated in round 1. Then nearly 20,000 more were eliminated in round 2. Before the third round, fewer than 2,000 people remained. Their pills emitted blue light. Divine pills. Xiaoyan, Dan, Lingge, and Liu Xuan were among them. Yao Xuan and the others had already been eliminated. The third round began immediately. Blue lights flickered, then began to extinguish. In less than a dozen breaths, over 1,000 were eliminated, until fewer than 150 remained. Outside, Yao Xuan and the others finally sighed in relief, because Xiaoyan was still standing. But what surprised them even more was that Dan Lingge and Liu Xuan also remained. According to the plain core, Kao Yuan said, nodding, those who remain are all true heavenly alchemists. Though many still remain, only one can become the champion. You will now face 2 more rounds of elimination. If you are ready, the 4th round begins now. Violet gold light erupted. Outside, everyone held their breath. Within the barrier, lights began to extinguish again, but this time far faster than expected. In the blink of an eye, over 100 were eliminated, then dozens more in seconds. Soon, only 15 remained. Then, 10. Liu Xuan looked at Xiaoyan. Not bad. The 4th round should be over. I underestimated you. But Xiaoyan replied calmly, it's not over yet. Liu Xuan froze. What, only 10 people are left? Before she could finish, another light extinguished. The eliminated one was an old man, and according to the crowd, he was the Grand Elder of the Pill King clan, one of the 3 great powers of the Myriad Pill Assembly. Yet even such a figure was eliminated without exception. The rules of the Myriad Pill Assembly showed no mercy. Gao Yuan waved his hand. The plain core disappeared. The massive barrier vanished, leaving only a vast plaza and the 9 final survivors. Under countless gazes, Koryan descended slowly. Dan Yu stepped forward as well. Then, names that once shook entire realms now resounded across the world like thunder. Each one carried legends. Each one bore glory power and countless victories etched into history. The #1 alchemist of the Flame Spirit clan, Ho Tianyang, a name synonymous with blazing refinement whose flames were said to rival the sun itself. Lord of the Xuanti continent, Lu Yu, a ruler whose mastery over Pildao and dominion over land made him a towering existence. Master of the southern Pill domain, Blood Pill King, feared and revered, a figure who walked the edge between life and death in every refinement. Young patriarch of the Xuanfu clan, Xia Wufeng, a prodigy among prodigies whose rise defied all conventions. Lord of the Western Cloud Plain, Liu Shan, a calm strategist whose pills were as elusive and unpredictable as drifting clouds. Grand Elder of the Divine Medicine sect, Fan Wang, an ancient presence steeped in countless years of alchemical wisdom. Sect Master of the Myriad Valley sect, Myriad Ancient Medicine Emperor, a title that alone was enough to command awe across the heavens. Heavenly Elder of the Ming clan, Ming Duke, a shadowed figure mysterious and unfathomable. And Lord of the Doqi Plain Flame Emperor Xiaoyan. The moment his name was spoken, a subtle tremor rippled through the crowd. Some lowered their heads instinctively. Others felt their breathing grow heavier. Because that name was not merely renowned, it was legendary. High above, Dan Yu's gaze swept across the 9 figures standing at the very pinnacle. His expression remained calm, yet there was a rare trace of approval in his eyes. Congratulations! His voice descended like a decree from the heavens. To the 9 of you, for passing the first 4 rounds. Each word carried weight, acknowledging not just their success, but the trials they had endured to stand here. A brief silence followed. The air tightened. Even the winds seemed to hold their breath. And now, Dan Yu's tone deepened. The final round. A faint surge of energy spread across the space as if the world itself was preparing for what was to come. Will determine who stands at the peak of the Myriad Pill Assembly. The moment the final words fell, the atmosphere ignited. 9 supreme alchemists, 1 final battle, and only one would ascend above all others. Become a member and watch the next episode before it drops. Thank you.